Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to football's most underappreciated reality show. So you think you can pass sideways. Strikers score, wingers dance, fans cheer. But the guy who actually runs the show, yeah, he's the one doing cardio for 90 minutes and still getting blamed for goals he didn't concede. Today we're diving deep into the guys with shin pads, GPS trackers, and PTSD from being overrun by Jude Bellingham. It's the top 10 defensive midfielders of all time. And no, Paul Pogba didn't make the list. Relax. 1. The Casemiro redemption arc. From benchwarmer to bouncer. Coming in at number 10, we've got Casemiro, the man who was once so irrelevant under Benitez. The ball boys had more playing time. Then Zidane showed up and said, "Yo, who's that tank in training? Let's unleash him." And boom, 5 Champions Leagues, 10 trophies, and approximately 94 crunching tackles per match. And let's be honest, Casemiro didn't evolve gradually. He went from who to how is he everywhere, in a single Zidane stare. One moment he's warming the bench next to the 4th choice keeper, and the next, he's launching into tackles with the intensity of a man who found out he's being sold to Stoke if he doesn't perform. Every Champions League final, he was there. Every tough knockout game, still there. Every time an opponent tried to counterattack, boom, Casemiro, like the football version of antivirus software. Casemiro didn't just break up attacks, he broke careers. Somewhere Thomas Partey still has nightmares. He played like a bouncer who accidentally wandered onto a football pitch but was too effective to bench. At United he went from new hope to new liability faster than a Maguire back pass. Real Madrid covered his ball-handling flaws by giving him Modric and Kroos as babysitters. At United? Yeah, well, good luck. Even when declining, Casemiro still makes attackers think twice. Mostly because they don't want to fly into row Z. 2. Edgar Davids, the pit bull with prescription goggles. At no 9 we've got the original street fighter of midfield, Edgar Davids, aka the pit bull in Oakley's. This guy didn't just win duels, he won wars. Ajax, Milan, Juventus. He turned every midfield into a 3-hour martial arts film. He wasn't just intense, he was intense. You couldn't even picture Davids doing yoga or a team-building workshop. He played like every game was a grudge match against the universe. Even his jog looked like a threat. Opponents didn't try to dribble past him, they just prayed he didn't notice them. And if he did, let's just say they were suddenly very interested in passing backwards. Davids was the only man to rock designer eyewear while playing like a caffeinated jackhammer. He made it onto FIFA covers as a defensive midfielder. That's like getting voted sexiest man alive for your tax returns. When Milan flopped, Juventus said, "We'll take that chaos gremlin, please." Paired with Zidane, Davids basically did the tackling while Zizou painted masterpieces. He had so much energy it felt like watching 3 players and 2 of them had Red Bull for breakfast. 3. N'Golo Kanté, the smiling assassin. 8th place? The man who stole our hearts and the ball, N'Golo Kanté. The only guy who can intercept passes in a different postcode and still smile while doing it. And the wildest part? He's probably the only player who could dispossess you, apologize with a smile, and still get a standing ovation. Kanté could commit a tactical foul and somehow make you feel bad for dribbling in the first place. He's like the guy who steals your lunch but then offers to pay for dinner. Just pure wholesome chaos in midfield. Kanté is what happens when a ninja becomes best friends with a vacuum cleaner. He won the Premier League with Leicester. Leicester. That's not a title. That's a biblical miracle. France could have played a 4-1 formation and still won the World Cup. The one was Kanté. Chelsea gave him trophies. Fans gave him love. And midfielders gave up. Now in Saudi Arabia, possibly winning tackles between dessert buffets. 4. Xabi Alonso, the elegant assassin. 7th is Xabi Alonso, the man whose beard had more composure than most squads. Every pass was a TED Talk. Every tackle a calculated act of Spanish diplomacy. Alonso played football like it was a period drama, elegant, precise, with every pass delivered like a dramatic monologue. And now that he's on the sidelines in a turtleneck, orchestrating undefeated league campaigns, we're starting to think he's not a coach at all, just a time-traveling midfield philosopher sent here to restore tactical order. Xabi didn't run the midfield, he conducted it, with a wine glass in one hand. His passes traveled further than Ryanair and arrived with more precision. From Liverpool comebacks to Madrid dominance to Bayern elegance, he made excellence look casual. He never had a bad season. The man was a walking 8/10, currently coaching Bayer Leverkusen like he's in Football Manager on God mode. 5. Frank Rijkaard, the ghost of midfield's past. 6th is Frank Rijkaard, the man who existed before TikTok and yet somehow still dominated everything. Played every position except striker and goalkeeper, and honestly he probably could have done those too. Rijkaard was that rare breed who looked like a rock star but tackled like a wrecking ball. You didn't notice him until he'd already ruined your entire attacking setup and casually jogged away like he was late for dinner. In an era filled with flamboyant strikers and flashy wingers, Rijkaard was the ominous background music, subtle, steady, and terrifyingly effective. And yes, before you ask, he absolutely would have shut down TikTok FC with a single glance. Part of the legendary Milan trio, Van Basten, Gullit, and oh yeah, Rijkaard's here to end your dreams. He returned to Ajax, stole another Champions League, then dipped, like a true football mercenary. Helped the Netherlands win their only international trophy. He's basically their football Moses. Was nominated for Ballon d'Or, while midfielders today are nominated for Best TikTok. If you built a defensive midfielder in a lab, the blueprint would be Rijkaard's afro. 6. Rodri, the bald emperor in waiting. 5th place goes to Rodri, Guardiola's personal stress relief. The guy has never had a bad game, ever. Even his nightmares include a 94% pass completion. Rodri doesn't just play football, he administers it. He's like the HR department of Manchester City. Silent, efficient, and absolutely terrifying when something goes wrong. While others chase the ball, Rodri simply waits for it to return to him like it's magnetized. And when he finally unleashes a long-range thunderbolt, you remember, oh right, this cyborg also has a rocket launcher for a right foot. He's what happens when Excel spreadsheets grow legs and start scoring in finals. Rodri scores in Champions League finals like it's his side gig. Opposition teams game plan for him like he's a final boss in Elden Ring. If Pep could clone one player, it wouldn't be Haaland. It would be Rodri with a Bluetooth headset. He's not flashy. He's not viral. But he's devastatingly consistent. Like death, taxes, and Real Madrid winning in stoppage time. At this rate, he'll retire with more trophies than Pep has bald jokes. 7. Patrick Vieira, midfield muscle with a brain. 4th is Patrick Vieira, Arsenal's original weapon of mass midfield destruction. Strong, skilled, and always one Roy Keane away from a fistfight. Vieira was the kind of player who'd win a crunching tackle, ping a perfect 40-yard pass, and then politely remind you that your shoelaces were untied. He had that rare combo of rage and refinement, like someone who could both flip a table and set it for dinner. Arsenal fans still whisper his name when the midfield starts looking like a group of confused penguins, because no one has ever really replaced him. Not even close. He made defensive midfielders cool in the Premier League. Before him, it was just kick it away and pray. He won the Golden Premier League. Undefeated. That's not football, that's witchcraft. Won the World Cup Euros, and made playing in Serie A look like park football. Vieira walked into the midfield battles like he had diplomatic immunity. He redefined what a DM could be. Not just muscle, but brains, passing, and vibes. 8. Claude Makelele, the blueprint. 3rd place is Claude Makelele, aka the reason your favorite midfielder has a role named after him. He was so effective at Real Madrid that when they let him go, the entire Galactico project imploded faster than Twitter's verification system. Makelele's positioning was so perfect, he could predict passes before the opposition made them. It was less about speed and more about spatial witchcraft. He read the game like it was subtitled. And while Galacticos got the billboards, Claude got the ball back. His greatest gift? Making elite ballers look ordinary without ever breaking a sweat. He was the football equivalent of a pop-up blocker. Unnoticed until he wasn't there, and then suddenly everything crashes. He did all the work while Zidane, Figo, and Raul partied in the final third. Florentino Perez sold him and then asked, "Why are we losing?" "Sir, you removed the engine." Chelsea snapped him up and Jose Mourinho built a midfield empire with him. He didn't score, he didn't assist, but he existed, and that was enough. Makelele walked so every modern DM could jog. 9. Lothar Matthäus, the football Terminator, 2nd place. Lothar Matthäus, the guy who basically lived 3 football careers in one body. He captained Germany to a World Cup, won the Ballon d'Or, and terrified midfielders for 2 decades. Matthäus was built like a linebacker and moved like a ballerina. He was tactical German engineering with just a dash of villain energy. Opposing midfielders didn't lose duels to him. They vanished. The man had a career longer than some players' coaching stints, and every time you thought he was done, he rebooted like Windows 95. Stronger, faster, and still terrifying. Played like a cyborg powered by bratwurst and discipline. From 1980 to 2000, he didn't slow down. The rest of the world just sped up to catch him. Bayern Munich, Inter Milan. If you had a trophy, he took it. If not, he won it anyway. He could tackle, pass, score, and probably file your taxes. If you built an all-time Xing and left him out, he'd just make another World Cup final to prove you wrong. 10. Sergio Busquets. The brain in boots. Number 1. Sergio Busquets. The man who proved football is a mental sport played by chess grandmasters pretending to be midfielders. Looks like a librarian, moves like a magician, thinks like a tactician. Busquets didn't chase the game. He read it, annotated it, and probably left footnotes for Xavi to use later. He looked like he was always half a second ahead, which in football time is basically clairvoyance. He could be surrounded by attackers, but somehow they'd end up tackling each other. Football purists watched him like wine critics tasting a 1982 Bordeaux, subtle, rare, and absolutely priceless. Didn't rely on muscles, just IQ and 360 degrees awareness, basically Google Maps with studs. Busquets didn't tackle. He convinced you to lose the ball. Yaya Toure left because Busquets made himself unbenchable. That's elite mind games. Every time you thought he was trapped, he spun out like he was made of oil. Without him, tiki-taka would have been kick panic. Changed the DM role forever. From destroyer to controller. From just defend to command the orchestra. Closing thoughts. Bow down to the lungs of football. So next time you're watching a match and everyone's screaming about who scored, spare a thought for the guy who ran 11 kilometers just to make that goal possible. Whether it's Busquets, Rodri, or a bald man named Pep crying on the touchline, the defensive midfielder is the unsung hero of every football fairy tale. Comment your own top 10 list, or just shout "Where's Conti" in all caps like a proper football fan. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time for more football satire and barely controlled chaos.